Welcome to I'm Fine, Save Me, the show that encourages open, honest discussions centered around self-help by diving into mental health, suicide prevention, and the power of being open and putting it all out on the line. Each week, Burl has in-depth discussions with interesting people he finds online and sees how far the rabbit hole goes. Join us now with our host, Burl Stricker.
Really what I'm wanting to do is kind of have a open discussion about struggles you guys are having in business, and for us to just have a roundtable discussion about it. Okay. Part of it is if you're not open and honest, hey, this is what I'm really struggling with, then it's probably not going to be a very good podcast because we have nothing to talk about it. If you kind of act like everything's wonderful, everything's going great, then I think what's interesting is all of us are kind of struggling with something to do with business. So let's go. Now we can start recording, but it is a recording, right? All right. Thank you guys for coming to the podcast. First of all, I want to introduce everybody. This is Shaun Shugart. Shaun is, him and I have been friends for, I don't know how long now. How long have we been friends? I always ask that.
5 or 6 years now.
5 or 6 years. Yeah, that sounds right. And really, we met through his wife initially, and then we worked out together. We attended CrossFit training together. He is a CrossFit level 1 trainer, and it's not trainer, he's a coach. And he also is just recently opened a gym in the Ardmore area. So that's Shaun. And then we have Cortland Stricker, my son. And Cortland is he currently lives in the Lubbock, Texas area. He's talking about possibly moving to Western Oklahoma, and he owns a roofing company, and that roofing company has been in business about how
long? Probably 3 years.
3 years. Okay. And then we have Bryan Goodwin. Bryan and I work together. Bryan is basically, is it called a life coach? Tell us.
Well, but essentially, the general idea, most people are really starting to get the idea of what a life coach is and how a life coach can actually help.
Yeah.
But in reality, what I'm actually focusing in on is life coach is kind of the general broad shot.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a general practitioner as a doctor. But I'm actually narrowing myself down to where I'm helping men in their relationships. And actually, I'm going even deeper than that. I help men going through difficult divorces right now.
Nobody's getting a divorce in this room, including Shaun.
Nope.
So we're good. All right. So I want to ask you guys a question. And we started, they have these mastermind meetings. I know they have them several places in Oklahoma City and the bigger areas and the more urban areas. And I liked it. I've actually attended a couple of mastermind meetings in Oklahoma City. And the whole idea behind it is for an hour or whatever, you sit there and you brainstorm ideas. The cool thing about it, you also relationships who maybe can help you. There's people from the bank there. There's people. So I think that for me, it was great because I learned a lot. And if you're struggling with a certain, area of business, it works really well. So after the introductions, so I have a question for each of you guys, and I'm going to be kind of like the moderator. I'm going to put in my 2 cents. So Shaun, in your new business, I'm not really talking about, let's just talk about marketing, period. In your new business with your gym, what kind of marketing are you doing?
Okay.
What have you tried, I guess?
I've tried. So I spent a little bit of money on a big banner for, that says, this is my gym. It's just got my gym name and my phone number on it. It was something that just to get up immediately. Tried a Halloween festival type thing where I essentially opened the gym up. We rented a bounce house, bought a crap ton of candy and just said, hey, everybody come bring your kids, come check out the bounce house. We had hot dogs and candy, and it was just an intent to let everybody know, hey, we're here. Here's the gym over here, but this is for your kids. Have a good time. And it kind of forced the parents. When we first talked about that, we thought about just trick or treating. I was like, well, the parents are just going to send their kids. Kids can eat the candy and leave. It's like by doing this, the parents get out of the car, they see the facility. So that was just the attempt to say, hey, this is where we're at. And then just social media, just trying to put different things out on social media.
I think it's great to have a little background on, because people listening probably don't know, and these two guys in the room do not know as well. So I think that Shaun had a really great idea. What he did was, he had been looking for a place to open a gym for quite a while. And so he was looking at different locations, and part of it was cost, rent was high, and he really wanted to rent at this moment to see if he could get this thing going. And what he did is he takes his dog to a groomer, and he noticed one day when he was in the groomer that they had this open, almost like shop. What would you call it? I guess a shop kind of area in the back.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, what it used to be a vet hospital. And this part of the room is where they kept the kennels. So big concrete floor, big open space, big gas heaters. So it was just this big empty room that wasn't being used anymore.
So ultimately he got a hold of the landlord and worked out a deal where he could use that space. And I think that by him doing it that way, he was able to get it, a lot more cost effective. He was able to share some utilities. But part of it, like when he mentions banner, you may say, what does he mean exactly with banner? The banner was there was no signage out there, obviously, for a gym. In fact, is there even a sign for the dog groomer or not much?
There is, but you kind of got to be looking for it. It's pretty old.
Yeah. So I love the Shaun and you and I have talked about this before. I love the multi-use, like anytime you can, and I know it's somebody else using part of the building, you're using part of the building, but I love it because no matter what, it helps reduce some costs for you, because you did look into, renting a building that was all yours. You would be responsible possibly for utilities, quite a bit in that area. So that's good. Cortland, what are you doing for marketing?
I'd say right now, I'm looking at these magnets. This is one thing. I think a lot of things that we are doing now are billboards on highways. That's something that I actually got today. I know that we use a lot of magnets. I know that some things that we've tried or thought about or talked about are like SEO, kind of pay-per-click or pay-per-lead, or something like that. I know that we have gone to T-shirts, we've gone to magnets, we've gone to truck wraps. I think a big thing is we have gone to like signs in the yard. We spend so much money on like signs that we make, and we either pay to put them out or we put them out on all of our customers. I know we've gotten on like softball field banners. We've gotten on, brochures for sports. And I know that's something we're actually doing here. And I think that's kind of, Shaun, what you're probably doing now is brand recognition. Yep. Is like, that's one thing we're having to change here is like, well, we're kind of a brand, not big, but we were known in Lubbock, and now we're kind of having to start over here. And it's like brand recognition all over. So we may not get a lot of traffic calls from these billboards on the highway, because that's a lot of traffic. I mean, like what they told me is it's like, 511,000 people like every week. And it's like, it's okay. How many of those are actually here? Well, not many of them. But the deal is people start seeing that every day that live here, and they start seeing our name. And now when I drive by in a truck wrap, and then when they get a magnet on their mailbox, and then when they see a sign in the yard, now they're starting to call. So like our goal is not necessarily to get like return out of those billboards or those signs right now, but I know over time when they see it 7 times in one day, and like I'm really bad about with my other wrap truck, I literally would wake up and drive in the neighborhoods every Sunday morning, so people thought I'd live there. So when but seriously, the houses I want to work at, I will drive by and I will make sure that they keep seeing my name. And it's like, obviously gyms and construction are way different. Like they're just a lot different. And I think we're all in very different businesses, but I think we've tried a lot. We've talked about a lot more. But it's just, our deal is kind of what you're dealing with, is just brand recognition right now with as many things.
Well, yeah. And I mean, we all can acknowledge that we're all in different businesses, but I think that it's great to kind of tweak and hear other people's idea. Let me tell you something that Cortland and I talked about this, but there's a type of marketing that there is certain businesses that you have to almost overload people with marketing. An example is car sales. Car sales, you have to like literally constantly put it in their face, so-and-so car lot, so-and-so car lot. and you guys see them if you watch the news and you see the annoying car ads, and so furniture is one. You just constantly see furniture ads. And the point of that is that you may buy a new car every 5 years. So when you do buy a new car, you need that dealership to come to mind first. And when you buy furniture, you only buy furniture, let's say every 5 to 10 years. Well, you need that furniture place to come to mind. So you almost have to flood the market with your brand, because if you don't, when it comes furniture buying time, you're not going to think about that company who sells that furniture. Whereas gym is different than that, but it's understand those differences. There are businesses you have to flood the market with that brand, because if you don't, you're not going to be recognized. You're not going to be remembered. I was telling Cortland, if you drive from Amarillo to Oklahoma City and then Oklahoma City to Dallas, off 40 to 35, you'll see, probably 40, maybe more, billboards for roofing. And it's because I'll tell you the number one billboard on roofing between those areas is Salazar Roofing. I can tell you right now. And part of that is you say, why? How can they afford that? What are they doing? And the answer is they need, anytime they're shooting for maybe 1 out of 100 or there's a number there, they're shooting for it, and they need them. As soon as I need my roof repaired, I'm going to think about them first. That's how they go. Bryan, I actually want you to, I didn't tell you this up front, I should have. I really want you to wear 2 hats.
Yeah.
The first hat is yes, so we definitely want business insight into, kind of your business ideas and all of it. But also I'm hoping from the home care, which is my business, our business, that you will kind of represent that as well. So what is the home care, above all home care, what are they doing to market, and what's some of their
big struggle for home health care, or not home health care, home companion care, is that we have a misidentification as to what we actually provide, because our biggest ally in and support for our company are actually the people who think we are a competitor.
Yeah.
So we have the hospice, we have the hospitals, we have the home health care, actual home health care people. All those folks are actually allies with us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get onto their side and help them understand that we are not working against you, we are actually coming in being, almost playing second fiddle to them, we can actually be able to work side by side and together and be able to provide just a knock it out of the park service.
And I'll be very vulnerable here with you guys, is that I actually realized this not that long ago, and it was a pretty big realization. Here's the realization: I was not being clear about what we did. So if I said above all home care, people didn't really know what we did. And the problem with that, it was 2 problems. Was they're not going to call you if they don't know what you do. But the other problem is that it looked like the very people who would give us business, we were their competitors. So we are not a home health, for example. We are absolutely not. And a home health is medical driven. They have to have nurses. They have to have doctor orders. And they actually are our referral source. And yet we were kind of competing with them, because people would say our name and think we were a home health too. And so we're actually competing with our very customers. In fact, a home health could look at us and think we were a home health too, and might be offended that we were competing against them. And so that was a big realization. And you say, give me an example. I'll give you a great example. We were fixing to put up a sign on the front of this office building, and I was just going to say, above all home care, and I was going to put our little motto, like everything's better at home. And then all of a sudden hit me, nobody knows what that means, and nobody knows what we do. And so I literally changed it to above all home care, and I put sitter and companion services. So I clearly defined what we do. And I think I wrote it down on my note paper that I think that one thing that's really important with marketing is that like you clearly define what in the world that you do, because sometimes, like I think Cortland, like in your situation, I think there is an example here because you've told me before that you don't really. It's not that you don't want, a cash paying roof that somebody just wants to pay for the roof. Your goal is to pick up insurance, like where they file a claim, so you can help them through the claim process.
Yeah, for sure.
And much different.
Very different.
And I think that sometimes we are not clear enough. And then like I think about you, Shaun, it's like you are not what I would call a global gym. You are different than that. And I think that does set you apart, because when you start looking at how many unique gyms outside of global gyms, well, now there's a lot less. And personalized training, those kind of things, classes, group setting, there's a lot of different factors. And I think sometimes my theory, whenever I was thinking about the home care and marketing before this realization, is my theory was, man, I don't want to put us in a box to say this is all we do. But I actually was shooting myself in the foot because I was not being clear enough on what we actually did so people understood it, and those customers who really wanted to come after me or wanted my services could provide it. So
for sure. No, and I think you mentioned you've owned a gym and now you do, but I think it's, what do you call them? A global gym?
Yeah, that's what I call them. Yeah,
it's just, and I was thinking about this and, and I've kind of heard bits and pieces of it, but it's like you're in any CrossFit or any smaller gym, y'all are just, it's tough because you take like Planet Fitness and it's like they charge like $10 a month. And it's like, you think about it, it's like most people that have a Planet Fitness membership, I would say 90% of them don't even go. But it's like, that's how they make money. You got to think now I saw something the other day, they were offering pizza. Like now you're getting your $10 worth. You're getting your $10 worth if you just go get a piece of pizza, or you know what I mean? And so it's like you think about that, but it's like they took away three key things of like 80% of the people that go to the gym or Planet A gym, they like heavy weights, they like chalk, and they like squat racks.
Yeah.
They took away those three things.
Yeah.
So think about that when it's like 90% of the people don't even show up for their, at all. Because I promise you they would be overwhelmed if half the people were to show up.
I think you're bringing up like a great point. Shaun already knows this because him and I talked about this. Yeah. But most gyms, I would say 90% of the gyms in America, their market strategy is that we're going to attract 400 people, and we're only going to, we hope only 40 show up.
Yeah.
Because this, if 400 people showed up, well, then they don't have enough room for people to work out. Even though they are in these huge buildings, really the bigger the building, the more initial people they have to have signed up.
Yeah.
Because it's give or take, it's about like 10%. We hope at any given time, no more than 10% show up. And what I like, but CrossFit, for example, it's the philosophy is the opposite. We hope they hope they sign up 40 people, way less, and all 40 of them are active participants in the business.
Yeah.
And another way to say that, though, is that I think it's really important to define who you are. Back to this point, it's like the difference is that you can be like this low-cost provider. Cortland, you and I talked about this recently, a low-cost provider being like Walmart. Well, these global gyms are a low-cost provider. If you pay $10 for a gym membership, and they hope you don't show up, honestly, because if all 400 showed up, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
But that's fine. You can do that. That is a marketing strategy to be a low-cost provider, but that's their philosophy. And you can kind of see it defeats the fact that we really want you to get healthy. We really want you to get stronger. We really want you to get better. But yet the other side of the marketing philosophy is unique services. And that unique services is that we actually hope that we change your life. We actually hope it makes a difference. We actually hope you get addicted to working out and you want to work out all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it's important because you can be either one. But I think I've told both of you that, man, if you do both, you're absolutely going to fail. You're absolutely going to fail. You cannot do both. You have to pick one. Am I a unique services provider, or am I a low cost provider? Okay.
Yeah.
And those things are really important to define who you are. For sure, you would say you were unique services.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shaun, unique services for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me jump on there real quick, Shaun, because a couple things that I was hearing that I really want to kind of get a little more in depth with. First off, you've tried. It sounds like probably about 3-4 things that you actually listed off. What was the most successful thing that you did?
It's really early. It's really tough to say because we just started in October. Honestly, if there's anything that's been successful, it's been social media. Getting people's attention, knowing that I'm there. The Halloween thing didn't really seem to produce anything. A lot of people came out, but nobody's come to even talk about the gym or anything like that, which is fine. They still know I'm there, but.
Okay. And how are you tracking the results from your social media?
Just based on people who have liked or commented or have messaged me saying, how do I get there? What's the price?
Okay.
Things of that nature. Just direct contact, I guess.
Okay. Now, the other thing I'm kind of curious about, and this is just because I've not ever been to your gym itself. You said your gym is more of a unique service.
Yeah.
So what makes your gym different from, say, like Planet Fitness or Gold's Gym?
So everything is, so it's not just a open gym. We have set class times. So you have to come at one of our times because all our classes are coach led. So we all get there at the same time. And then it's like, hey guys, this is kind of what we're doing today. And we kind of start off with a warm-up mobility session. We go into a strength session, and then we go into the workout. And the whole time I'm there instructing people, coaching people, and teaching people. And we do everything together, and we develop this camaraderie. So it's not go in, put your headphones on, don't make eye contact with anybody. You start to come in, and these people start to become your best friends because we're working out together. And now, Burl and I, we're going to race each other on this workout because he happens to be pretty good at this. So I'm going to try to catch him. And you end up leaving, getting a better workout than you've probably ever had going to a Planet Fitness or a Global Gym, which are great facilities. But unless you are just a really driven person, it's difficult to reach in and find a good path. Whereas if you have a group of people around you and a coach pointing you all in a direction, it's just a different experience.
I cannot overemphasize the camaraderie in that situation. I mean, Shaun and I are sitting here like he's so nice to watch his kid and be on this podcast because we started working out together. I mean, his very first day at this particular gym, and it was my first day there at that particular gym. And that's really how we became friends. And I hate this word, and I've been using it a lot lately, but it's also, there's a little bit of accountability there. This accountability that, okay, Shaun's going to be there at 6 a.m. And then I'm like, man, I don't want to go. Well, if it's just me going to be there at 6 a.m, then I don't, I may not make it because I don't, but I don't want Shaun to show up by himself and have to work out by himself. So there's a little bit of accountability there, and not that accountability flows all the way through the workout too, because kind of what Shaun was saying is like, man, if I'm kind of slacking and not, I know it real quick because I'm way far behind him or whatever, I think that is a good service for sure.
For sure.
Okay. So the classes that you actually end up doing, Shaun, that is what, more of the CrossFit style, since you are a CrossFit coach?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to clarify, like I can't legally or technically trademark it as CrossFit because I have not paid for the affiliation, but we can do all the things. I can even list my CFL1 certification on like business cards and different things like that. So I just have to be careful when I'm marketing.
Yeah, CrossFit is very protective of their name.
Are they really?
Yeah.
That surprises me because I figured it was just kind of one of those, almost like the what is it, F3, where they're just kind of they've got this little.
I think it's because it's turned professional, I believe.
Well,
and that may not have been.
Well, they're protective, just like McDonald's, but
exactly.
all these other because it's trademarked. But here's the thing: it's like, and this is a great discussion. for him, and I don't want to just concentrate on Shaun and his gym, but the bottom line
I'm going
is,
to jump on to Cortland.
Yeah, but the bottom line is this is a whole marketing discussion because he could buy into the franchise, which when I had my gym, I did buy into the franchise.
Okay.
And at the time, my franchise fee for the year was $3,000. Now, to most people, like if you own a McDonald's, $3,000 a year is nothing.
Yeah.
But when you own a gym, that's a ton. So
don't you also have to pay an upfront fee? Like you pay an initial fee, and then once you it's like $10,000, and then there's the yearly $3,000 fee.
That might have changed when I was doing it. No, so that's been like 10 years ago. So it could have changed. And then it's based on when you come in. So first come, first serve. You're paying the least amount. Yeah. But then when you come in later, again, 10 years ago, it was I had to pay my $3,000, and every year I had to pay my $3,000. But there's one more caveat. I mean, Shaun, if it was that same system, he's not going to get in at $3,000. He's going to get in at a much higher rate. Yeah. And then there's another one, which I assume this is still a requirement. You had to have specific liability insurance that was pretty expensive. And that liability insurance, CrossFit almost made it where you had to go through their insurance people in order to get that, because like your local insurance people could not provide that insurance. And that was a requirement of it's an affiliation fee. It's an affiliation deal. I haven't looked at, have you looked into it, Shaun, like what it would be? I think
I'm not even that. I'm nowhere. Well, the problem is I'm nowhere near that yet. For me, it's got to be more than just a name. It's going to be a business decision. It's going to be one of those things that in order to pay $3,000 a year, I have to be making well over $3,000 a year because of the name CrossFit in order to justify that.
I agree with you. I wonder if it'd be almost worth it to find out how much it'd be. Shaun is frozen, but I wonder if it's almost be worth it just to find out how much it would be.
Well, I mean, he's right though, but it's like you have to think of
and y'all cut out hard
the name.
Sorry, you froze.
There you are.
Y'all did too. I didn't catch that part.
I was just saying, I think it would be worth it to find out. I know that now is not the time. I agree 100% with you that now is not the time. But I almost feel like it'd be worth it to find out what that fee is and what the requirement is, just so you can have it in your head.
Yeah.
Because, and for everybody here, like there is benefits to doing it because you can piggyback off the CrossFit name. Now he can put up a sign that says CrossFit. Now he can go on social media and say, I'm CrossFit. And you can piggyback off that. But it has good and bad because some people automatically think negative towards CrossFit. So it could hurt him and it could be positive. It could be both.
Okay.
It isn't necessarily, a for sure positive thing.
One thing I suggest doing is maybe calling a few newer ones and seeing if it's worth it.
Yeah.
Or you can just call CrossFit.
Well, CrossFit may give you some skewed numbers. You call an actual gym that just switched over within the last year or 3, and they're like, yeah, it changed my business dramatically. And it's like, it helped, 200 people come in this last year, and it's like, okay, well, that made a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of off subject, but there's been, if you kind of follow the trend of CrossFit, it's kind of on a downward trend at the moment where the leadership has changed hand a bunch of times, and so it's actually the popularity is actually a little bit on the downside at the moment. A lady I actually purchased some of my equipment from, she was talking about how she's no longer affiliated with CrossFit. She was, and she said there was a time when it was worth it. She says, but it's got to the point where it's no longer worth it.
I've heard that.
Yeah, Bryan, I'm sorry.
No. I like what you're saying because it helps with little details that I'd never would have thought of because I'm not familiar with what Shaun's actual because the way he was talking about it, wasn't sure if I was still not 100% sure on all CrossFit style gyms and what all they do because closest I have to any understanding of gyms are like your
what we call
Planet
global
Fitness,
gyms.
Yeah, your global gyms or
it might be worth
Orange Factor.
Yeah, it might be worth noting that if I were to put a description on it, we would call it functional fitness. And the idea is that we're not trying to get you to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're trying to get you to where you are able to have your independence when you're in your 80s. the ability to pick things up off the floor, the ability to pick yourself up off the floor, to be able to pick up and play with your grandkids, the ability to be outside and not, get winded by a walk kind of thing. That's the idea we're going for.
Right.
I mean, we're going for being able to do a podcast and babysit, and that's what we're going for.
Yeah.
So
you win.
So, all right, now Camden, let's jump over to you. Cortland. I'm sorry. I see Cambridge and thought, but anyhow, Cortland. Now I hear roofing and construction.
Okay.
And I think roofing and construction, but you also claim to be a unique service company. So how do you differentiate your roofing and construction company from another roofing construction company?
We do the same roofs as everybody else. So I'll start off and say that there's no, you take some of the other roofing companies, sure, we could do better quality, but there's one specific way to put up shingles. There's one specific way to put up metal, and this kind of we could all do the best at that. Our product and their product should be the same at the end, right?
Okay,
if we were to set up this, and as long as everybody does the right things, and as long as we provide by the warranties and manufacturer warranty, every Bose system should be the same exact by the end of it. No leaks, everything's good.
Right.
Okay. What makes us unique is how we go about that. So that comes with an insurance service. I'm actually an insurance adjuster, which at first I wasn't an insurance adjuster. But then I realized, when I was out selling these roofs and I was really talking to them, our best route is for them to file with insurance, not a cash deal. Because as a homeowner, I could sell this. If I sold you a free roof tomorrow, you would take it. If I charge you $30,000 tomorrow, you wouldn't take it. You'd have to go talk to your wife. You'd save for it.
Bank,
finance. You would take the roof tomorrow.
Yeah.
You would not.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can get your roof fully paid for tomorrow, and Shaun's and everybody's, as long as we fall within a couple of guidelines. Well, has it held in the last 12 months? Yes. Is there damage? Yes. And so you take that and it's wow, I can get all this. And now let's extend that. It's let's go to gutters. Let's go to garage door. Let's go to paint on the house. Let's go on siding and windows and this and fence staining. You start looking at all these different things and it's wow, everybody has insurance that owns a house that has a mortgage. But outside of that, most 98% of people have home insurance.
Right.
Okay. Well, everybody it's really more on education side of things. It's I can get your roof fully paid for and your fence stained and your windows replaced and your house painted.
Okay.
And so all these other roofing companies, they don't care about that. They don't care about how many roofs can they do a year to make a living and to make millions. We care about the homeowner not paying $1 for the service insurance that they've already had. So that's kind of something that we do. So I went and got my adjuster's license so I can learn the insurance game on the insurance. So I play the insurance game because when you file a claim as a homeowner, they file with their insurance. Well, we file too. So now that makes both of us on a roof with your insurance and me being an adjuster. We're both adjusters on the roof. Well, there's no way they're going to turn on the roof if I know their game, if I know what they're trained. You know what I mean? So I can't. Yes, I am an adjuster. I can't go out and be an adjuster because I own a roofing company. That's a conflict of interest. I got my adjuster's license just to be able to figure out what they're trained so I can play the game against them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we can advertise that I'm an adjuster. Can I go legally
go out and
be out a public adjuster? No, not while I own a roofing company. But I know exactly what the insurance company is going to come out there and do. Right. I could just do it before they do it. So I start up a supplement. They do too. Well, it's you take the last 3 years, we've had 1, 2 denied. And it's based on insurance reasons, not something that the homeowner did or, it's just faulty insurance. But that's what we're unique at. We're unique at getting the service done at no cost to the homeowner.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So anyways, and then outside the roof, we get all these other things paid for. And now you're getting your home and exterior completely fixed up for no cost.
No.
Bryan, what would you say for the home care? Would you say that it's a low cost provider, or would you say that it's a unique services?
Well, I actually, honestly, whenever I first heard how much you were actually charging for, I would have initially have said we are a low cost because price wise, I figured whenever I heard, companion services or whatever, I figured we were going to be charging, $50-$60 an hour. And no, we're half that. So that I would initially want to say that, but I actually believe that we are just a unique selling.
Mhm.
We've got our own unique selling proposition, our own USP.
I think you actually bring up a good point, because technically we are a low cost provider. And I think that part of the mistake that's been made, and I'm pointing at myself when I say the mistake that's been made, is that's another area that we have not clearly defined. We've tried to play the game right in the middle. And when you, again, and I believe this, I've been taught this, I know this, that you cannot play the game in the middle.
No.
If you cannot. And so I think that's one of our struggles in the past, that we played the game in the middle and we've not been real clear that we are it's not that you're going to advertise, we're a low cost provider, or we're going to it's not about advertising.
Right.
It's about knowing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if
You
you're
don't
going to
wanna be the
say,
cheapest.
if you're going to say that you're in a unique services, then you have to be very clear about what that unique is.
You're not the cheapest.
Yeah. And you're not. And it's like, I screwed up with this, Shaun. I've told you about this before, man. I screwed up with this with CrossFit, because I opened a CrossFit gym in a very small town where nobody's quote could afford it at the normal price. And this is not a joke. At one time, when they had like 3,000, 5,000 affiliates, I'm not sure how many, but it was in the thousands. We were told this, literally the cheapest CrossFit gym in the world
Wow.
was right there in Hobart.
Interesting.
And so you can say, oh, cool. That doesn't sound so cool anymore.
Yeah.
When you start to realize that we were the absolute cheapest. And I know that, like, Shaun, you're struggling with some of that too, because it's like at that time, and it may be different now, but actually I think the price because of what you said, Shaun, about how it's kind of decreased in popularity, it's actually, I think, as a whole gone down. But at the time, you had Elk City had two CrossFit gyms. One was charging $120 a month, and one was charging $150 a month. And I was charging $70 a month, and that real way. And honestly, could not change, or felt like I couldn't change, like had this discussion many, many times, and like was very hesitant to ever change, because once you start down the road, it's hard to get off that road. And of course, I had a very valid
Is
point.
it the desperation road? Right?
Well, it's this road that, like,
That's what I called
what
it.
CrossFit believes.
Desperation jobs.
What CrossFit believes, and I actually agree with it, but CrossFit believes that Shaun is trained so well, he knows what he's doing, it's well worth it. In other words, it's like, it's worth it. It's worth the money. Prove your worth. It's so what CrossFit did was, it in some ways it was smart. In some ways it was very frustrating, but they said, okay, I don't care if you open 20 CrossFit gyms. They wouldn't limit. I don't care if you open 20 CrossFit gyms in Elk City, but by the way, you can't open 20 McDonald's in Elk City. They're not going to allow that.
No.
But CrossFit will. It'll allow it, and it says that the cream of the crop, the best, will survive, and the rest will not. And so part of it is like, if you go down that road of I'm cheap, that's what people expect. And it kind of bit me in the butt. But also I could make a very good argument as well that, man, truly, I don't think I'd have very many customers or very many members if I raise that rate.
Right.
No.
Now, one thing I found really interesting with hearing that is, I have heard the main overarching argument or philosophy I have heard from people who have been in business is, and that's one reason why I've talked about, I ditched down going from just men's relationship into helping men going through difficult divorces, is that to be able to get critical mass, to be able to get enough recognition, it's actually better to niche down in a lot of areas. So like, to go try to ride that middle, the middle line, to ride in the middle, is trying to play to a wider audience. And that's, you're right. I think that's where it shoots you in the
restaurant industry. The restaurant industry, you see a lot of these major chains, what they're saying is, oh, you can get Mexican food here, and you can get steaks here, and you can get Chinese food, and you can get pizza here. And the problem is, they're not good at really any of it.
Yeah.
whereas you go to an Italian restaurant, you expect to get good Italian food.
Right.
Right. You see what I'm
You're
saying?
you're not going to, Mario's Italian food to get Chinese food.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a good Peking duck from Italian restaurant.
The one thing, and part of me is like, I know Shaun's on a timeline, we're on a timeline, but I want to try to keep plowing through is like with the ideas. So my takeaway from this topic that we're talking about with the marketing is that, like I wrote down, clearly represent what you do. I think that's important. And I think whether it's finding your niche or whatever, that you clearly represent like your unique, decide first of all if you're a low cost or a unique services, and then clearly define it. And part of that is a marketing technique to say, hey, we offer this. Even though, it's funny, we talked about my podcast, we're going to rename the podcast. And we talked about really me going toward more of the audience of men. And my very first thought was, oh my gosh, then I'll be cutting women out. But we all know women will listen to because they want to know what about these things. But I think that really my message goes more toward men than it does women. And so I think that it's okay to say that. It's okay to say. So I think that clearly defining it, making sure you know whether you're a low-cost provider or your unique services. Again, I want to make it clear, you can do either one and you can do it well. Walmart's the perfect example of that. They can do low cost and they can do it well. They're like almost a well-oiled machine. But you have to be a well-oiled machine. I'll give the nursing home example to you guys is that if you are a low-cost provider in the nursing home business, you have to only accept Medicaid, basically government funded. That's it. And you have to do that game, and you have to provide the cheapest labor and most efficient. That's what you have to do. So I think that's good. Next.
All right. Well, before we actually jump in the next, there is one other thing, a little key point that I saw in here. And this is something, Shaun, that I'm also struggling with because I've actually have had Relaxed Mel for actually 3-4 years now, but it has been almost kind of on the back burner, and I just kind of work on it on just as a weekend deal. It wasn't a 20% project. It was like a 5% project until 2022, whenever I really kind of started trying to see if I can get this puppy up and moving off the ground. And from what I've heard, and one of the things I've kind of learned and I'm seeing actually works is doing almost the scientific method. A better way to actually look at it is just trial and error, trying something out, getting a measurement of it. Is it successful? Is it not successful? Why did it succeed? Why did it not succeed? And a really good example of that is when we asked Cortland, how many things have you tried doing? And he listed off, well, he's doing billboards, which blew me away. I was like going, dude, how much do billboards cost? Because now I've got somebody who actually knows. How much do they cost?
$350 to $400.
That's it?
2-year contract.
A month or?
Well, yeah, a month.
2-year contract, $350 to $400 a month.
That's it.
Wow.
In town, they're $300.
That's it.
That's it.
So,
I could have
that's on I-40. I wonder.
That's on I-40 in Lubbock. They're $500,
which is a lot busier area.
way busier.
Yeah.
Way busier.
Oh, okay.
Amarillo, $500.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
but still $500 a month for a billboard.
And it's
I was expected to hear about 1,500.
I think that honestly, no, and that's they're some of them can be that I would say, and you're talking about Dallas area, yes, but no, they're. I mean, I think that even this would help anybody. This is the best marketing that I think anybody can do because it's a one-time thing. It's truck wrap or logo or something of that sort.
All right. Closest I've got to a truck wrap right now is I actually have a custom bumper sticker.
Well, anything. I mean,
yeah.
You talk, or it's like I just got a new truck. I don't know, 2 months ago, I guess. But my last truck was fully wrapped. Okay, we paid $3,000 for it. Well, that's a one-time deal. Paid $3,000. Sure, if it falls off within 5 years, they'll put another one back on.
Oh wow!
So it's like, okay, well, I just got my tailgate in the bottom of my steps, not the steps, but like the bottom 1.5 feet of my truck on both sides. The doors. It's like $600, one-time thing, done. So why would I not do that when it's going to stay forever? Every traffic, every stop sign, every light I go through, And now I can drive this neighborhoods on Sundays. And so, I mean, but seriously,
Yeah.
it's not really about, I have kind of a number in my mind, and I'm sure you do too for, your gym, and you do too for your business. And it's like, you all have a number in your mind, but it's like, how do you achieve that? Organically is the best, where it's like, well, you're going to have to do 10 times the amount of driving around or posting or billboards, or that's not necessarily organic because you're paying for it, but posting on social media, where it's like, well, if you were to do a pay-per-click or pay for, you're going to have to spend the money, but they're going to hopefully do it for you. So you have to kind of figure out, that's what we're doing.
And I forget exactly what it's actually called, but I've always heard this analogy. You can do quick, cheap, or easy, but you can only pick two.
Yep.
And that's one thing that kind of shows you've chosen to do the forego the easy part. Yeah. You're willing to go drive and put on the miles on your pickup and just cruise the neighborhood and just let people see you.
It's been a conversation I had with Dad, I don't know, this week, where it's like, all right, do we pay $3,000 every month to get what we need, SEOs, what like that.
Yeah, and they may not know what that means, but it's funny that he's bringing this up, Shaun, because I actually got the message I showed you that I got today. It actually was because it took me a minute after that to realize this. It was because my LinkedIn about me on LinkedIn actually had that I was a gym owner. And so I get messages quite a bit, and it's not just about the gym because it has other stuff, but this particular one caught my eye, which I was direct message, and it was offering what he's talking about. This was basically it's called, pay to play. And so what it happens is that we're going to give you
X amount of leads,
so many leads for the gym, and you're going to pay for any ones that you get. Meaning not the leads. It's a little bit different. This one's a little bit different.
Every one of them's different.
So this particular one was saying, and I mean, they may be full of it. I didn't look into it yet. Well, but part of it was saying, Shaun, that you like this lead, if it's going to be introduced to you and they become a member and they start paying, then you owe them a fee. Okay. Yep. And this is real. I mean, I got it today. And Shaun and Cortland and I were talking about it because he has considered doing the same thing and what he would do, but it's expensive. In his case, he would pay $3,000 a month, and he would get, I think, 40 leads.
Well, they said, and essentially, and how they use 3 or 4 different things. They take over our website and design and change whatever.
And every company's different,
and they are. And it's like their thought is like, we're construction-based leads, and it's like we will run ads for you, we will take over 100% of it, and it's like we will drive traffic to you to call you. So it's not like Angie's List or whatever, where it's like it's kind of a community. Whoever pays, and it's a lot cheaper, but they may send it to 10 roofing companies, and whoever closes the lead first wins. And it's like
that one. And you do have Angie's List, which you could become a member.
I could, yes. And so it's like everything's kind of different. What we've done the last couple of years, it's like I have a number in my mind. And that's changed over the last year of like just providing for like it being a 1 or 2 type employee system to how much money we need to like now we're building, and it's a lot different. But I've been doing it on my own. So it's like I spend 90% of my time. I will go sit at a bar. I don't drink. I will go sit at a bar just to sell you, just to talk to people at that bar to sell you. I will go sit at a restaurant by myself, and I do that too much, but 10, 12 times a week. I do. All
right. So let's keep moving.
It's bad.
Get Shaun off and go coach classes. All right. So I want in one sentence, what is your goal for your business? In one sentence. Okay. I'll start with mine to give you guys a hand. And you can say goal in 5 years, just a goal. What is your goal? It can be in 5 years. It can be in 1 year. It can be 6 months. It can be in 10 years. Okay. Our goal is I want to build to sell the home care where we can sell it in 2 years for $1 million. Okay. That's my goal.
Profit.
And by the way, that just came about recently in the last few months. We decided that that's our goal. Okay. So
you're saying profit,
and I think
he can it for $1 million.
I think if we push it,
I don't have any.
I think we can clear that million and have maybe even double that. I think we can really we push this the right way. I think we can actually
Okay.
make.
So that's mine. Okay. And trust me, it wasn't easy to come to that conclusion that that's what I wanted to do.
No,
but
it was a
that's
fight.
that. And part of it now, it's like it's taken a big relief off me to say, okay, that's what I want to do, and to understand. And I think there are people probably listening, and maybe one of you guys that are like, "What? You're just building this to sell it?"
Mhm.
I'm gonna really.
That happens a lot.
That is a business strategy. That
Mhm.
is a very professional, good strategy.
People do that for a living.
And they do, yes, and we just to be clear, we don't want to do anybody wrong. We don't want to, we want to do it right. But the bottom line is that's our goal.
I did.
All
that.
right,
I did that.
Cortland,
with
I'm putting you on the
landscape.
spot. In one sentence, what's your goal?
Well, maybe two, but so we just reached our first goal 4 days ago, like that last year. So this new goal for this year is 1 million in profit
1 million profit
by December 31st or 2030.
by December 31st, meaning you
Profit $1 million.
for this year.
Yes.
Okay,
Sean,
We
what's
reached
your
this,
goal?
we reached this last one 4 days ago. So now
Good.
it's the new one.
My goal is pretty puny compared to your guys's. So, I just hit literally yesterday. I just hit my break even point with membership. So I'm,
Cool.
in the green
There
for the
you go.
business. So,
That's
but
it.
something to celebrate, right?
That's
Yeah.
big though.
my goal is to make enough money to be able to purchase new equipment every single month. That way, as my members are coming on every single month, I get to show them like the new things that are being added to the gym, and be at a place where in say 2 years, there's almost nothing left to buy for the business. And it's grown to the point where, it's actually making money for, to bring home kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mine's pretty puny compared to your
no,
guys.
but
that's-
Sean, it's easy to
We're in
think.
different businesses.
No,
Well,
Yeah.
different businesses, but also you just said this has been going on. You just got this thing up and moving in October.
Yeah.
All right. So you're just now, you're still, I'm going to call you the baby coach.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're talking about a baby coach who's just getting his legs up underneath him. I know
Yeah.
that one because I'm just getting my legs up underneath me too. I haven't even gotten actually to that point. I've just gotten my first big paying client, which is an amazing thing. And while Cortland has been at this 3 years, you said?
Yeah. So in Lubbock, we've been operating, I guess, 2.5. Here, we've been operating 2 months.
Sean, there's one thing you don't know. I'll throw something in there to make you think, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, you've heard that what the goal is, but what if I told you right now we're only doing 15,000 in December? We only did $15,000 in revenue. That's all we did.
Yeah.
Okay. In other words, ours is a small thing
In revenue?
in revenue. That's
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's tough.
I only did 15,000 in
2 years.
revenue.
2 years though.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but I think that the reason I knew that would be the thing, I know that like, I just, because I know you guys, I knew that Cortland would come up with a big number. I knew he would. I knew like what you were going, because I told you, Shaun, and it's true. Cortland knows this. He was around during that time, is that I started the gym to really, so I could have a place to work out with friends. So if I broke even with my gym,
That's all
same
you care
thing.
about.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
you're doing other stuff. So yes, breaking even such a big deal. But I also brought it up because I'm like, that clearly defining that for myself made me start to realize I'm going to have to do some things different. Because if not, and part of my biggest struggle is I've been puttering along for years now at this same level and never growing, never doing anything different. I mean, I put it kind of in an emotional statement not too long ago. I'm like, man, do you realize this thing don't pay me anything? Hardly. So I sit around and I have a business that I don't really make any money on hardly. And why you even do it? And so I had to push myself to say, you know what, I'm going to do something different. And here's going to be our new goal. And it's going to be, big. And for me, that's big. And for this, what I'm doing. So, all right. Let's see what's time. We're still got a few more time. What we've kind of talked about it, but I would like to know like your biggest, and I mean, you have to be kind of vulnerable here and maybe, but what is your biggest struggle? We've talked about it a little bit, but right now, what do you think? Like if somebody could help you with something, it's like, what would you like? What could somebody help you with that would really And you can say more business, maybe that's just it. But what is your biggest struggle at the moment? Shaun, I'll start with you. When it comes to your business.
Man, I suck at making new contacts. I'm not very good at reaching out and explaining what I do in a kosher way that's attractive, I guess. That's
So how do you do that though? How are you doing it?
And well, a little bit I've talked to from other gym owners. The biggest selling point for your gym is your other members. Your other members sell your gym. You don't as the coach so much. It's the people who come and get the experience and they go, I'm experiencing this for myself. And so I'm leaning pretty heavily on that. I've got a few core members who have been some really close friends that have all supported me and come signed up. So that's probably the biggest thing that I'm doing. And then trying to lean into social media, trying to get out of my comfort zone there. And because I'm pretty introverted by nature. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult for me to put myself out there. And so that's where I'm at.
So are you okay? How are you reacting when someone gives you a rejection?
I'm just taking it for what it is now. I mean, this is part of the game. And I know that, it's just.
Yeah, because that's one of the big things a lot of people shy away from is they have this aversion of being rejected. Yeah. And so if you're able to, I would almost recommend to a lot of people who are scared to death of rejection, actually get out there and just do something where you're going to get a no. Walk out there, go to McDonald's, eat a Big Mac, and then go out back and ask for a refill on the hamburger.
Yeah. Interesting.
Knowing that they're going to go no, or ask some random guy, hey, you got $100 you can give me, and watch them go no, and see that you don't die. There's actually a great YouTube video out there of the guy who did what he called rejection therapy, and he did just that for like 100 days. He went out, sought out to get 100 no's, and what he actually found out is about 25 days in, all of a sudden people were getting curious and going, well, why are you doing this? And they were trying to figure out how they could actually help him actually reach whatever it was he was wanting to do. Oh. And so to be afraid of a no is something that is ingrained within us because we get told no. Yeah, our brain wigs out because it's a do not get killed device. And it's like, oh, dude, great. You've gotten yourself kicked out of the village. You're not going to have to go up against all the saber-toothed tigers and cave bear now. You're dead, man. You're dead. And in all reality, no. When was the last time you saw a saber-toothed tiger walking around here? I mean, there are a couple of times there's a moron that goes off and accidentally lets a tiger loose, but that's a rare thing. I don't even think he's in Oklahoma anymore.
All right, Cortland, what's your biggest thing? If anybody can help you with it, if you could figure it out, what's your biggest struggle right now?
I would say that the new thing, even though we've been like in business or operating or whatever for 2.5 years, would be scaling. What that means is like we've been really comfortable. We've had low overhead. Everybody else aside from me has been a sub, and I've been whatever money I wanted to make for the year, I'd make it and not have to worry the rest of the year. Yeah. So if I needed to make X amount of money, then I would do that many roofs. And then if the last 2 years I'd take 5 months off, 6 months off, 4 months off, whatever. It's like, okay, I made X amount of money. I could take the rest of the year off. And next year when storm season came back around, I'd do 20 roofs or 50 or whatever it needed to be. Well, this year it changed, where it's like, okay, well, now we're having to move everything, start over completely, brand new business, somewhere else, different state, licensed state. And it's like, now we're having to literally start over. So the goal now is like, okay, now we have family involved. Now we have other, factors. And so it's like, okay, well, now we're not going to be lazy. Now we're not going to take off, and as soon as I hit $500,000 or whatever number you want to, I'm not going to take off. I'm just going to try to build and scale and build and scale. So that'd probably be the only thing is just scaling. So that means on all aspects, bringing in 10 times as many roofs, bringing in 10 times as much, production and, calls and organization, everything. 100% of it.
Yeah, and that's where you'll probably figure out where from what I've heard of people who scale, they quickly realize, well, got them there. Don't get them to their next level. There's a whole new set of skills you've got to learn.
Then so that's something that right now it's like we're trying to figure out, and it's been, I'm just comfortable. That's an easy word where it's like I haven't needed, I never had an idea, never wanted to, 2 years ago, it's like, I didn't want to make, and it sounds crazy, but it's like, I had a new daughter and it's like, I didn't want to, I took off 6-7 months, her first, months alive. Cause it's like just to hang out. I didn't have to work. So it's like, at 20, I don't know how old I was, but it doesn't matter, 25 or 4 or something. But it's like, that's when I had my daughter, but it's like, really, we didn't have to necessarily work.
Right.
It's like, all right, so we were comfortable. And it's like, as soon as we made X amount of money, we wouldn't have to do anything else. And it's like, well, we have this much in the bank. The bills are paid for the rest of the year. We're good. Bought a new truck every other year. Everything's fine. So now it's just changed where it's like, okay, well, no matter what, we're going to make $1 million this year, and we have a 5-year goal, but it's like, and so far everything's kind of gone to that place. But now it's just, well, now I got to take the 3-4 months that I normally sell roofs and work. Now I got to take it to 12 months. So right. It's, but it's going to be different all the way around. Cause now in Lubbock, there's 120 roofing companies. Here in Oak City and their surrounding area, there's 3. So
3 that you find until a hailstorm comes through, and then all of a sudden you get
for mine is believe it or not, I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, but you're talking about vulnerable. Here's mine. Mine is leadership, and basically what I did was the reason I started the home care is because I had the ranch at that time, and I was looking for supplemental income. So what that thing has done is it's been an ongoing supplemental income. But the problem is that I'm tired of just it being no income or supplemental income or something that is always kind of like a burden in the background, and it really doesn't help me succeed at the goals I want. So I know that part of it's like there was a lack of leadership because I wasn't there and involved. I was working, doing other things. And now that lack of leadership is like super evident now. It's like, man, I've kind of just let it go, let it do its thing, and it petered along. And so it's kind of a hard pill to swallow that I have to provide a lot better leadership, not just for me, but for the people that work with me. Because if we don't, then I'm never going to be able to reach that goal that is sitting there. And, part of it's like, man, if I had to just like plea with myself and to explain to you guys, it's like, man, I want to get to this point where this is not just petering along and it actually helps me work toward a goal that's out there. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so I know, but I also have to look in the mirror and realize that that's my own fault because I started out as a little part-time thing, and that's exactly what it stayed. And that's exactly what it's been. When you do a little part-time, side hustle, that's all it ever is, unless you decide to change something and do something bigger and different. And so, and I think honestly, Shaun, I got to the point where kind of in my deal with the gym at one point, I kind of felt that same way. It's like, yeah, this is a cool little thing. But, I also remember, and I've told you this, where my daughter looked at me like, man, can you imagine you putting that much effort into something else? And it's like, because I was putting a ton of effort into that gym. And it's like, but if we're just being able to work out, I can work out in my garage or barn. If we're just working out, I don't have to have all this, oh my God, I got to get up and be there at 6 o'clock every morning. I've got to, you start to feel these pressures. It's like, I don't know if it's worth it if I'm not benefiting or working towards some kind of goal or something, and it took me a while to get to that point with both the home care and with the CrossFit gym. All right. So, Shaun, what time? You got to leave pretty soon, right? Are you good for the moment?
Yeah, I need to cut out. So
okay.
All right.
Well,
you guys hear me?
Shaun, I appreciate you very much for being on here, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Glad being able to talk with you.
I was telling everybody he's gonna be here Friday, but no, it's good. We'll set up another time.
Yeah, thanks. Let's do it again later.
All right.
Safe. Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right. Well, I since it's just us 3, but
we'll keep it going because I'm actually recording 3.
I want to talk about a couple of things that. Well, Bryan, did you have anything to add?
Actually, yeah, because I wanted to go ahead and throw in what my big struggle is, and my big struggle right now is just getting out there, telling people that I'm a coach, making an offer that I can actually help them.
Yeah,
and that's that's going to be the big thing, because I'm almost a lot like Shaun in that I can sit right here. I can be just as comfortable as all get out. I can do the social media stuff. If anything, helping you with your social media plans and stuff has shown me what I'm not doing. I'll throw something up a day, and that's about the most that I do on mine. And to change it up and actually start putting a lot more thought into it, I think is going to help out a good bit. But I'm still not actually telling people I'm a life coach. I can help you, and I'm here to help. So that's the big struggle that I'm actually having, is getting out, meeting people, and meeting groups of people, and actually doing the networking. And so that's my big goal this year, is getting into one, maybe two civic organizations, and just hobnobbing the crap out of it.
Good. Hey, so my next thought, and I'll tell you at the end why I'm asking this question. What professional, or like basically what kind of professionals are you using in your business to help you and to help your business? Cortland.
What kind of profession? Reword that.
Okay, I'll start first. That'll help.
All right.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I have a CPA. Okay. Even though I have a degree in accounting, I have somebody that helps me professionally when it comes to taxes. I don't need them to do the books, because I can do the books, but I do have them do the accounting. I mean, the taxes. I've actually, I've looked at the possibility of, possibly hiring like a business coach in the past. I think that I have in the back burner. I haven't have to use it, thank goodness, but I do have a lawyer in case I need it.
I have a lawyer.
But I think that those professional services are like, what kind of professional assistance are you having?
So I don't have a lawyer on staff, obviously, or on call, but we do have an attorney if needed.
Yeah, someone retained, or something ready to be retained.
Yes, that's a better word. We for taxes, CPA, we have that. So I think on the sales end of thing, and like a CRM kind of deal, we have a couple apps that we use that sort of have a built-in assistance of like what you should do, how you should, and kind of organizational tools that I would say are pretty professional, because it kind of helps lay out for new people and people I train and sales guys of what you should be doing, and it basically does all your job for you. And then we have a few apps like that are actually, more helpful than anything else.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great point, because it doesn't just have to be like a person, but it could be like, so I use QuickBooks. I think the days of
sort
using
of like that too.
big cheap pad number 2 pencils to do your books and throwing your receipts in a pile.
And we use Xero for that.
I think those days are over with. But also, if you decided to go with the referral services that you were talking about earlier, that definitely falls under a professional help.
Agree.
And
we don't.
Part of the reason I ask the question is that, like, and I wish Shaun was still here, because Shaun, if I purposely wanted to do this, because you have two people that are on opposite spectrums. You have one spectrum, like you are definitely on this one side of like, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go get this business. Shaun is a lot more laid back. Where Shaun has a lot of it, he's a Dave Ramsey coach. This guy, he makes sure that he dots the T's and dots, crosses the T's. He does all that, and he's never going to quote go broke. He's not going to, because of his financial mind and the way he thinks about debt and the way he thinks about those things. Not saying that you
will
think about that either.
I mean, I have, yeah.
But my point is that you almost.
But one of the cool things about that, just to the fact that you're able to state, I have, shows you that you're actually more destined to actually become more wealthy due to the fact that you're okay with. You know what? I lost the money. All right. Sure. You know what? I've now got the skills. I can make that back in half the time.
2 years ago, we made $170,000 and I was broke.
Yeah.
I mean, like that, no money in the account for months. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, couldn't pay a truck payment. Couldn't so it's like, actually, no, it was right before my daughter. But anyway, so it's like 4 years ago or whatever. So it's like, that year I built a landscaping company to sell it, sold it that year. So that's the money we made.
That's cool.
But it's like that, but I know how it feels. I grew up broke, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Not with you, but sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up, but not with you, with my mom though. But it's like, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Well, and there's one more thing about this, and I think I love it. I love the psychology behind it. And I love, I learn a lot from this. The other thing that you guys are polar opposite on is that you are risky, basically, and he's not. Shaun is not a high risk person. You're a high risk person.
Yeah. You've tried several things all at once. Wham. You're trying
I'm very proud of myself. It's like, I've tried a lot of things. People cannot say I didn't try, because I always bring it up because it's funny. But when I lived in Lubbock, I owned a snow cone stand. In other words, you hear people saying, "Oh, I'd like to do this." No, I've actually done it and tried. Now, I wouldn't say I've been crazy successful at those things, at every single one of them. Some of them absolutely failed and were stupid and whatever. But I look at, Cortland, and I'm like, his risk, I think it's called risk aversion.
He's got very little risk aversion.
Yeah. So he is definitely high risk, but with high risk, there's high reward.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then on the same point, Shaun is very risk averse, meaning that he will struggle starting because he's like looking at all the reasons
he's trying to go. He's actually one of the ones that is not willing to throw money at something as often. So again, is it going to be quick, easy, or cheap?
Yeah, I think
he's going for the cheap. It has to be cheap. Yeah. So he's I know he's still sticking with the good, so it's not easy.
Yeah.
So he's definitely and I'm the same way. I'm going cheap, good, and it's an uphill climb.
But I think that we can, if you're on the risk averse side, I think that it is a great opportunity by listening to this to learn.
Right.
Because there is, the higher the risk, the higher reward. And guess what? Also a higher chance of failure. Okay. But some that are in there, and not saying, Shaun started a gym, so he's obviously doing some stuff.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely.
By no means do I want to paint him as a person who's not, willing to do something. But the bottom line is that that's a bigger struggle for him. And a lot of people listening, they may be extremely risk averse where they will never start. So I have friends like this that will never ever
start a thing.
And, they will always talk about it, but they will never start it. And I get where they're coming from. But also there's people, and I've done this in my own life, where I was way too risky. I put my family in jeopardy, meaning that, we could possibly lose it all by me being as risky as I'm being in, business decisions. And I do think that there is this middle ground. And part of it, it's like, I think you can build teams like that too, where you have somebody on your team that's maybe more risk averse, who's really like the voice of reason is another way to say it. And they're saying, hey, I don't know if we should jump off this ledge yet. Let's do this. And then you need the risky person as well, because part of me has learned a lot from Shaun, even though he's 20 years younger than me, because I can listen to him and he thinks about it in a way that I do not think about. And so I think that that's a great part of it. All right, Bryan, you got anything else to say before we cut this thing?
I think one of the biggest, when it comes to carry on with the whole risk averse, running a risk, there is no reward unless you try to take an actual step towards something. And the reason why a lot of people don't take the risk is because, one, there's fear. There's a lot of fear involved. There's a whole bunch of what ifs. And I believe it's Mark Twain that said, through my life, I've had a lot of bad things happen. Luckily, half of them never really occurred. Or something to that effect. Anyhow, we go through worse possible things around strictly in our mind.
Yeah.
And so that's what actually holds a lot of people back. There's this thing called the motivational triad. And the 3 things that motivate people is to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and be as efficient as possible. Mm-hmm. Our brain wants to make sure that that's one reason why you get so many people who are addicts, because they want to seek the pleasure. There's a lot of pleasure when you're high, drunk, or whatever. Right. Or even if you're eating food, maybe you like to enjoy overeating a lot, which I've had issues with. So your brain wants to seek pleasure, wants to avoid pain. And when it comes to pain, we want to think, oh, well, yeah, we don't want to be shot. We don't want to be stabbed. We don't want to experience physical pain. But emotional pain is registered in the same part of the brain as well. Physical pain is. So there's no difference. It registers pain as pain. Mm-hmm. And doing something scary, getting out of your comfort zone, that's scary, that's fearful, that's painful, that's highly unpleasant. And so the brain wants to avoid that. But also having to learn something new, the whole awkwardness and the messiness of learning something is one thing that keeps people from actually trying something, keeps them from learning anything new. And when you learn something new, you're going to grow naturally. Yep. So to get past those, if you can get past those 3 motivational triad, and actually just write down a goal and just aim for that goal, prove to yourself, blow your own damn mind that you can do something. You're going to find out, oh, wow, that wasn't nearly as hard. That wasn't nearly as scary, because fear is nothing more than a very thin veil, and it takes just a little ounce of courage to poke through it.
Good job. I like it, Shaun. Cortland.
We can't get your name right today.
That's all right. Huh?
You got anything to add?
I think showing up is 90% of it. So. That's
right. I agree. So, nothing showing up. Bryan, I've not been very good at this. I'm going to try to remember to do this. Like, I want to put out an opportunity for people to reach out to me and for us to be able to ask questions or make a comment, or if they have an idea for, a show or whatever. But one way to do that is Burl, B-U-R-L, Ray, R-A-Y, Stricker, S-T-R-I-C-K-E-R @gmail.com.
Or you can actually just go to burlstricker.com/contact. And he can and actually just leave a message there, and he will get it.
I'd love to hear from you guys. If you have a comment, something you'd like to say, you don't like it, or something you like, something you don't like, I'd love to hear it. You guys have a great day.
Thanks. Y'all take care. Bye. Thank you again for listening to I'm Fine Save Me. If any part of this show resonated with you, share it with your community. Help others see that being vulnerable isn't being weak. It takes courage. Don't forget to subscribe and follow on your podcast app of choice so that you can get this show downloaded each Monday. And thank you again for listening.